Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. As all of you know who've been around the Capitol, the 2020 session is really Chapter 2 to 2019's Chapter 1. All the work that we set before you in 2019 is work that we will continue in the second year of the biennium. There will be different focus areas in year 2, but Minnesotans' values and the values that guide us haven't changed. Minnesotans have told us that they want a Minnesota that works better for everyone. They've told us they want world-class schools, affordable and accessible health care, economic security for their families, and safe and inclusive communities. And while we made some bipartisan progress last year working with the Republican Senate, in many cases, the Republican-led Senate blocked progress on key issues that Minnesotans value and care about. We will be pushing these issues again this year, though, and we will give the Senate a second chance to come to the table with us and do some good work for Minnesota. Most significantly this year, we're going to be putting forward a very ambitious proposal on early childhood learning. We think that the most important thing is to get kids off to the right start. And in order to close the opportunity gap, we have to look at those littlest learners. And that's why House File 1 for us last year was focused on getting children off to a great start. You also are only too painfully aware of the overdue insulin legislation, and we will continue to press forward on that. Democrats have come forward towards the Republican position, and we have acknowledged that the state taxpayers will pay some of the expenses, even though they're not the ones who created the problem. Now it's time for the Republicans to take a step in our direction and acknowledge that the pharmaceutical companies have to put some money on the line. Minnesota families continue to struggle with taking care of people in their family and keeping a good paying job. So whether it's that you have a mother-in-law or a mother who needs to be moved into assisted living, or you have a child who's facing a health challenge, or yourself, or you have a new baby, Minnesotans often have to choose between economically supporting their family and being there for them when they're needed the most. We think Minnesotans deserve paid family and medical leave, and we will again be pushing paid family and medical leave. And on gun violence prevention, the proposals that we have put on the table are the two most moderate, most reasonable proposals in the country. They are proposals that have been enacted into law in Republican-led states. Everybody who wants to purchase a firearm should have a criminal background check. And we need to make sure that guns are not in the hands of people who shouldn't have them when they shouldn't have them. So if there is evidence that somebody is a danger to themselves or others, a law enforcement official should be able to go to court and get a temporary order to remove the firearms until the risk has passed. We are pushing for the largest responsible bonding bill we can have. The word responsible, in my mind, correlates to our AAA bond rating. The state has 3 debt guideline measures to make sure that we maintain our AAA bond rating. Beyond that number, there's no reason for Republicans to say no to progress for Minnesota communities and to local jobs. There are a lot of unmet needs across the state, and Chair Murphy has dived deep into those issues all through the interim. The Capital Investment Committee has been out looking at these projects across the state. Minnesotans' young people are perhaps the group that is pushing us hardest on climate. And last year we passed a 100% clean energy standard. We will continue to be very active in the climate space and challenge the Republican-led Senate to join us. Through the whole session, we'll be working hard to achieve bipartisan successes, but we also think it's important to show Minnesotans where we stand and that we're really fighting to provide a better future for everyone.
Good morning. Last year, the Minnesota House DFL led the way with a clear agenda that sets a marker for the future. We put forward honest proposals that reflected the promises we made in the campaign and addresses the challenges that Minnesota faces over the next generation. We worked to put an end to destructive Republican budgets that had shortchanged Minnesotans on behalf of the wealthy corporations and insurance companies. Our bipartisan budget agreement last year was just one small step on a much longer road to a better state. The House DFL will continue to advance an ambitious agenda that will improve the lives of all Minnesotans. Our agenda is the future of Minnesota. Whether it's this year, next year, 2 years from now, this is the future of the state. We're going to continue to invest and prioritize the things that Minnesotans care about in every corner of the state and for people from every single background. We're looking forward to this 2020 legislative session. We are going to continue to be honest with Minnesotans about the choices we face, about the costs of creating a world-class education system, a transportation system that supports jobs for the next generation, a healthcare system that is affordable and accessible to all people. These are things that we can achieve in Minnesota. We are committed to doing so, and we are committed to playing the long game until it happens. We are going to continue building a future for all Minnesotans.
So with that, I'll just say who's here and a little bit why they're here, just for context, before we take your questions. You know Representative Michael Howard has been working on insulin from the word go. Our majority whip is going to help us with everything. She succeeded wildly in the opioid area, so there's many challenges that await the majority whip this session. Fu Lee serves as the vice chair of the Capital Investment Committee and has spent a lot of quality time with Mary Murphy and Minnesotans across the state. Dave Pinto, as you know, is the chair of our Early Childhood Education Committee. Carly Katiza-Watun is carrying House File 1, which is our most important bill, which is why it is House File 1. And Jamie Long is a climate champion and is carrying a lot of climate legislation. So we are ready for your questions.
Madam Speaker, what kind of dollar amount are you talking about for early childhood ed, and where are you going to get it from?
We are looking at the non-recurring one-time money in the budget surplus and hoping that we could make an investment up to $500 million. Depending upon what the budget surplus tells us, if there is some recurring revenue, we may be able to advocate for committing some of that to early childhood education.
The Republicans are going to say we need to target this. I assume, well, let me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Are you talking about overall expanding pre-K programs, or are you talking about targeting? Because Republicans are going to want to target it.
It is a very targeted plan, and I'll let Carly Katiza-Watun and Dave Pinto.
Thank you for the question. We are looking at a broad spectrum of investments in early childhood, very similar to the original plan in House File 1 last year. But yes, looking at some of the one-time funding, we want to make sure that our existing voluntary pre-K children are able to continue in those programs. I want to target the scholarships, what research shows us, from children from the ages of 0 to 3. So we're going to be working on targeting that moving forward. Some additional investment in child care assistance, and as well as helping out providers through some grants and programs like that.
That's all in File 1?
Yes.
Okay.
And to expand the number.
Well, I was just going to note that, that as Representative Katiza-Watun said, we don't want to go backwards on pre-K, and so the expiring pre-K slots will continue. But everything else in this bill is, these are provisions that, the Senate Republicans have indicated in various ways some support for. There's the early learning scholarships that are referenced. This would focus those on birth to 3. There's assistance for childcare, which is targeted at low-income families, support for providers. This is a huge need all around the state in terms of early care and learning, childcare and early learning. So each of these are provisions that we expect will in fact find a lot of support in the Republican Senate, even if not the full dollar amount.
Can you elaborate on how many people will be affected? Because I think there's, Governor Dayton a few years ago proposed, free all-day pre-K for everyone. And the free all-day kindergarten was once very controversial. That's a huge success. I mean, how many people are already being served by this, and how many more people would be served by this, or is it just the same amount?
Even though, I mean, it's, there's the early learning scholarships. There's a portion going to that should, I believe, bring in an additional 25,000 children. Several more thousand children assisted in the child care assistance program through the spending, and then also taking our pretty much bottom of the nation rates for child care providers for the compensation that they receive for caring for low-income kids. This would increase those rates. So not new kids for that piece, but making sure that providers who right now, almost half of providers receive public assistance. So it's extremely challenging in that industry, so we increase those rates. And you've got the 4,000 children who will lose preschool without this continuing funding. So each one of those pieces, so many more children being brought in, and then trying to lift up this industry, which is in crisis, not only in our state, but around the country.
So, can you do the numbers again? I'm sorry, just, is it 4,000 right now, and then that's about to expire, and you're going to keep them, and then add another 25,000?
There are 4,000 children who are in ongoing pre-K slots. There's an additional 4,000 who are in slots that will be expiring if we don't continue that program. So there's 4,000 right there in terms of preschool. in-district preschool. But then there's children served under the Early Learning Scholarship Program, bringing many more in through there, and childcare assistance as well. We're really talking about two different crises, childcare and the opportunity gaps that the speaker referenced, and these are linked together in early care and learning.
More on the money, if I could, more on the money too, and both of you.
Well, important to point out that the early learning scholarships, we're looking at $190 million, and voluntary pre-K, a $60 million continuation of existing slots. So really where the dramatic expansion in services that we're proposing is on the early childhood scholarship portion. We also have $190 million dedicated to the CCAP portion. So just to give you some scale.
And how about, because continuing funding was referenced, but then one-time surplus money, how do we square these? Is this ongoing money, or can one-time surplus money pay for House File 1?
Well, there's not a lot of appetite in the governor's office or the Senate majority to make new commitments of spending. And so my argument on the one-time spending, and the reason why I'm mostly focused on one-time dollars, although willing to also look at ongoing spending, is that even though we can't make a commitment to fund these early childhood scholarships for the 3-year-olds for the next 20 years, it doesn't mean we should let this year's 3-year-olds go without an opportunity if we have the money sitting there. The choice with the surplus will be somewhat between putting more in reserves and spending some of it. And my position on behalf of the caucus, and we'll see how much they correct me on Monday the 10th when the caucus all gets together, is that we need a healthy reserve, but there gets to be a number in the reserve that is comfortable and responsible and appropriate. And if there is extra beyond that, that the place we should spend that money is the place that it will make the difference over a lifetime for a Minnesotan. So whether that's a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, that's where we think would be the priority to spend.
But would it go away again if it's one-time money and you're stuck in this needing to renew it, so this service that people come to expect doesn't go away?
Well, I'm sure the
Yeah.
majority leader can expand on this, but the way I look at that is there's no reason not to serve this year's 3-year-olds just because we can't be sure that we can serve next year's 3-year-olds.
And I would just add that we have admired this challenge of the achievement gap for so long. And we have known that investing in early learning is a significant way that we can help every kid have an opportunity to succeed. And time after time after time, we have not sufficiently made a commitment. So we are making a commitment based on one-time funds and expect in the future that ongoing funds will continue these programs. This is not a one and done. This is a down payment on a much bigger commitment to early learning and childcare for Minnesota.
Mr. Leader, along that line of it being a down payment, if you don't, and I know you don't want to think in these terms, but if you don't get all of what you want this legislative session, how much of a campaign issue does it become in 2020?
Childcare is a crisis throughout Minnesota, whether that's in the suburbs, whether that is in rural communities, whether that's in expanding regional centers. Regardless of where you go, the ability to find childcare at all is increasingly difficult for Minnesota. To find it affordable based on the wages that people are earning is even more difficult. And we are making sure that childcare and access to early learning is every bit a part of the discussion as healthcare and affordable college and all of the other components of a decent life that Minnesotans come to expect for their hard work. That's the kind of commitment we want to make. And we have to be honest about the scale of the problem. It's just, people can't afford to pay for childcare, and we are creating a system that is fencing people out of the workplace and fencing kids out of success. And we need to change that direction. And so I don't know if that's going to be a campaign issue in every part of the state or not, but it certainly should be something that every family in Minnesota is thinking about.
The bonding bill is $3.5 billion, a responsible number, Madam Speaker?
Do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to speak to that?
So right now, Chair Murphy, we have been in discussion with the MMB, and they have said that we have the capacity for a $3.5 billion bonding bill, and so that's why we have traveled throughout the state of Minnesota, over 3,000 miles to over 100 cities in 54 counties, just to listen to people in their hometown, to hear about their needs and their wants, and what can we do as the state of Minnesota to really address the values and the needs that they have. And so that's something that we're working with, and we'll be partnering up with the administration and, hopefully our counterparts in the GOP Senate.
Can we expect a $3.5 billion proposal, Madam Speaker, from the House this session?
We will set our budget target after we get the February forecast. So we will take a look at the February forecast, and then the majority leader and I and members of the caucus will decide what is the budget resolution for this session. That will determine how much debt service that Chair Murphy gets, which will determine the size of the bill.
Maybe I should have phrased my question more accurately. If the budget surplus permits it, would you like to propose a $3.5 million?
Well, here's the thing where that is not really a surplus issue. That's about ongoing revenue because we have to pay the debt service over the next 30 years.
Understand, but if the economics permit it, would you like to bring forward a $3.5 million?
I will be supporting the largest bonding bill that we can afford to maintain our AAA bond rating. I am for creating as many local jobs as we can and completing as many local projects that are meritorious, that have met the test and will serve the people of Minnesota.
Representative Winkler, I couldn't help but hear you say that you were proposing honest proposals. Is that something new this year, or?
No, that's exactly the rhetoric.
We're not supposed to be assuming that proposals were honest.
I think well, first of all, I said that all last year as well. And so it's not a distinction between this year and last, it's a distinction between this party and the other one. And the fact of the matter is that we can't promise Minnesotans that they can have great schools, great roads, great health care, and not pay for it. The honest part is that if we want those things, it will cost money and will take commitment at the state level. It's not just rhetoric, it's not just kind of magical reform that will yield greater results. We actually have to be serious about the costs and be honest about the choices.
That was a shot, I missed it.
All through last year, you missed that shot. I was there.
I can't really explain why you didn't get that, Peter, but it's consistent with my past statements. Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is that we are going to begin the very difficult work of looking at the opportunity gap and putting resources behind that. The People of Color and Indigenous Caucus it has got a full set of proposals, but we will also be in our Education Finance Committee. This is kind of stay tuned, this is a teaser for the future. Chair Dabney will be having an all-day symposium on the opportunity gap and the different proposals and the other challenges in Minnesota's education system, the different proposals that have been brought forward. And then we will be going out, kind of in the nature of the community conversations that we had on cannabis, to really go to Minnesotans and get their input, because this opportunity gap is too big and has persisted for too long. It's time for us to acknowledge we have a really big problem, and it will take a lot of effort to solve it. So that is a piece we expect to begin that work this session. We don't expect to bring it to conclusion this session.
There's a big preference on the other side of the aisle for doing early ed through vouchers and support for preschool, private preschool placement versus in-school preschool. Do you see like any room there to compromise?
Yeah, we reject vouchers, but we support early childhood education scholarships.
Let me, Speaker, is the shakeup and change in the leadership in the Senate, which obviously is still controlled by the Republicans, does that give you any kind of avenue to getting more of your agenda passed, in your opinion, in any way?
No, I mean, the score over there is still 35-32, and you need 34 to pass a bill. So the Senate DFL caucus made a personnel change in their leadership. I know, we all know the DFL senators very well, and they are committed to this shared values, the Minnesota Values Plan. We have been working through the last year at least, if not longer, with our DFL Senate colleagues on the education, healthcare, economic security agenda that we've brought forward. And so I was very aligned with Senator Bach. I'm very aligned with Senator Kent, and I'm sure that whichever leader that the Senate DFL selected, we would find a strong partner for the things that Minnesotans value and care about.
Does it impact the dynamic of the bonding bill at all, Madam Speaker? Having Senator Kent be majority leader, or minority leader over there?
Boy, that sounds like internal Senate politic questions for you.
I'm just curious, the mix, because she's Metro versus Bach being Greater Minnesota.
Yeah, I want to put the kibosh on that completely and totally, because you're looking at the Minnesota Milk Producers Legislator of the Year. And I make that point because I live in Brooklyn Park. I was born and raised in suburban communities. You don't have to be from Greater Minnesota to be a great legislator for Greater Minnesota. And although we do have great legislators from Greater Minnesota, Chair Poppy of the Agriculture Finance Committee, Chair Murphy of the Bonding Committee, and the most powerful committee of all, Chair Marquardt of the Tax Committee, and they have each in their own ways done fantastic things for Greater Minnesota. We all are committed to all Minnesotans. And this is a party that represents every single part of the state. We can tell you that we represent the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, the suburban communities, but we can also tell you we represent the Iron Range, we represent sugar beet farmers, and we represent milk producers. And so this is a full state party, regardless of the personalities who may be chosen to lead a caucus. When you look at Governor Tim Walz, he is from Greater Minnesota, and he got tremendous vote totals in the suburbs. He was very strongly supported by all kinds of voters across the state of Minnesota. So I think it's not as important to look at where somebody is from as it is to look at what they're doing. And this is something that Republicans are doing not only when they talk about politics, to try to divide Minnesotans into Greater Minnesota and Metro, as though we're not all in it together. But this is a politics they're bringing to every other part of their campaign, that people should not like immigrants, people should be afraid of the poor. And this demonize and divide, it may give them some partisan advantage in some political races that they're running, but it's ultimately very destructive. And so even though the Greater Minnesota Metro divide is not as ugly as the other sorts of divisions that they're touting all the time and fanning the flames of, it's still one I think we should reject, because I don't think it's factually correct for any Minnesotan, including us.
Time for one more question.
Are you worried about your Greater Minnesota members in November, or?
We're worried about all of our members. We want all 75 to come back. Certainly, we'll be looking at the districts where Trump won, but if you look at the districts where Trump won and the members that we have there, they basically annihilated their opponents, so we're not very concerned.
Madam Speaker, how do you convince the Republicans to go with family medical leave?
Well, Donald Trump talked about it for the second or third State of the Union in a row. He also talked about how important it is for families to be able to afford childcare. So they seem to be very in line with their president on all sorts of things. Maybe they should get in line with their president on paid family leave and childcare.
Will you talk about One Care this session, or making any progress on that bill? It was one of the governor's top priorities last year. The universal or a public option, so to speak. Is that something that's on the agenda?
We'll have a conversation about that, but that would require massive ongoing spending, and this is not a year where ongoing commitments of a large nature would be, really a conversation you could expect to be successful.
We did pass it last year.
And we did pass it last year.
And it came up in the forum yesterday, but are you totally opposed to eliminating state income tax on Social Security?
Well, Senator Gazelka is pushing a tax cut for the rich, because the practical reality, as Governor Walz laid out yesterday, is of the $19 billion in Social Security benefits that come into the state of Minnesota, only $5.1 billion of it is taxed, and that is people at the upper end of the income scale. So people who earn $1 million or more a year, right now, they're paying taxes on their Social Security because their taxes are based on income. And so since we have largely excluded Social Security recipients, people who live on Social Security, from being taxed in our tax system, I don't see us moving in that direction. It's really important to point out it is a tax cut for the wealthy, and it is not one that's needed.
Thank you.